I know there's no young person that I can't reach. That is what I start off with, and because most people come into this defeated to begin with, and if you start defeated, you'll end up defeated. I began working with young people in a children's home. Somebody else was doing it and said that they were looking for someone who could teach young people basic skills in maths and English who were excluded from school. I didn't know much about it then, but then when I started working with these young people for a few hours a day, I realised that I quite liked it. And the bloke that had the children's home said that he said that I've got a gift for doing it. He says, you want to take up teaching? And I suppose that was the very first time that I considered doing this as a profession, really. Once I got to know these young people, realised that they come from varied backgrounds that were unfamiliar to myself, my own. I suppose I developed empathy with them and their situation. To work with these young people, what you've got to do is build their confidence within a subject and give them activities which are small steps based to try and engage them. Once you've got these young people engaged, then you've got more of an opportunity then to build on those skills in any subject, and then you can bring them on a journey. So that journey starts with basic steps into something far more complex. Working with young people like this, we often have to look at complex issues such as emotion and feeling, very, very complex issues for anybody, for adults, let alone children. So what we're trying to do here is using the relationship we have with the young people to then build on what we know about that young people and direct them to where we want them to go. So, for example, on this particular task, the young person in question gets very, very angry. This is something that I know because I built that relationship with that person and I've already explained this to me. They've got personal complex issues at home relating to families. They've got anger management issues. They want to change that but don't know how to. The same young person arrived here low on confidence, was excluded from several schools, very, very angry, and the first thing he said to me was, I can't draw, and he used some expletives as well as that. So what I tried to do is, I knew immediately by looking at pop art, for example, and Favism, that it could use colour in a very, very expressive way. I tapped into that young person's interests. This young person likes boxing, and in particular likes Floyd Mayweather. So we thought, well, we'll do a portrait of Floyd Mayweather. So initially showed him portraits by Matisse and Van Gogh and people like that. And then he could see the link between was what I really wanted him to do in the future. And I gave him a technique of working, again, step by step, and it ended up culminated in the picture that you have here of Floyd Mayweather. The one thing I gamble on is my relationship with the young person. That is the key. That is fundamental to anything, whether you work in a special school, a pupil referral unit, in a secure unit, anywhere where even in a mainstream school, anywhere where there's challenging young people or even young adults, the thing you've got to do is get to know them first. And I know that I clearly have a good relationship with that young man. And that relationship is based not just on the relationship that me and him have within school, it's also further working with his parents and carers. I just come off the phone to his sister to tell her that he's had a good week. In the past, working in environments like this, special schools and SEBD schools, there's always been a type of youth club type atmosphere, environment. Let them play for a bit, give them tasks that involve colouring in or whatever. Let's make it clear, this is a school, and these young people deserve the same opportunities as mainstream children, despite the fact that they've come from mainstream schools and it's been unsuccessful. in my opinion, and in the opinion of the staff that work in schools like this, it doesn't work without boundaries and structure. Young people, no matter whether they're in mainstream school or special schools, they are continually looking for somebody to tell them what to do. They might not like it, they might not accept it, but it's just the way of the world. They want someone to control their lives. I have clear boundaries within the classroom to ensure that learning can be done in a safe way. For example, believe it or not, some of the young people here don't even have a dining room in their house. So when they come in there and they see a table, they want to sit on the table. I don't have young people sit on the table in my room. The way that some of their parents talk to them, using expletives, swearing, disrespecting them, talking down to them, I don't have that in my classroom. So if we start with a blank canvas, and that blank canvas involves me explaining to the young people, I don't care what's happened before, but within this room, this is the way I expect you to behave, and this is the way I expect you to work. So you're setting high expectations with work and high expectations with behaviour. And once the young people know that, invariably they stop acting out and they will do what you ask them to do, because they know they feel safe because everybody else is doing exactly what you want them to do. One of the things I use in the art room, a technique is, I call it cutaway techniques, whereas the young people, they use thick card and they can cut away the top layer of that card to reveal the colour underneath. Now I know some heads might say, but these kids, no, don't give them a knife, a scalpel, they'll stab each other, whatever. Once you've established rules and boundaries, the children know full well that if they want a knife, they'll ask for the knife, and they will use it appropriately because you've shown them how to use it appropriately. I suppose if you're a new teacher and you want to work in an environment like this, you need to be resilient. You need to have a high tolerance level. You need to look at the young people and think, what sort of background are they coming from? Would I like to be in that, would I like to come from that environment? We've got young people here who have got, they're in awful situations. The mere fact that they're coming to school is enough. As a new teacher, you've got to be fairly resilient. You've got to go over and beyond the call of duty. You've got to be able to make connections with the parents, and that can often be more challenging than the young people. There are challenges. You've got to be able to work hard as well. Put the hours in. I get into work at 7 o'clock, 7:15 every morning, in order to make sure I'm planned and organised. But there's a lot of enjoyment when you get it right. Oh gosh, the joy in your heart to know that you brought that young person from down there to right up there, because you've set that bar very, very high, and oftentimes they exceed that bar. Since I've arrived here at the Clifton Centre, one of my individual targets has always been, I'm going to make sure every year at least one young person gets a grade C GCSE art. And that's happened every year bar one since I've been here. And working with these young people, a grade C, that's like them getting an A star plus, that's amazing. And they always thank me afterwards. Yeah.